The way I got a startup and how I was able to get to where I am is because I said hi to this random elderly man walking his dogs. And I took the time to just walk him, provide value by showing him something he wanted to learn. And it's changed my life. Seriously, just saying hi. It's ridiculous how easy and simple it is to change your life. But that one word, hi, and yes, would change your life. It's insane.
Hey everyone, welcome to Reanimated Stories. This is Roger, the host of Reanimated Stories, and today I have Jackson with me. I remember with one of my earlier podcasts, Michael Beltran was on, and one of the things we talked about was social media. And it was funny because he had talked about me being like a young person, and here I am, like 40 years old, right? And it's kind of he's kind of in that, in a much younger demographic. And this, which is what I have also with Jackson. So Jackson is also someone that I've met through networking and who is also doing something really awesome. And it's encouraging to see that him doing it at such a young age, not calling him a kid, right? But just seeing him doing something super awesome at a young age and to really get out there and do that. So I'm excited to have him on. So Jackson, without further ado, go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Jackson Edens, just a young gentleman from Iowa out here in the boonies, but I love it. I always take Herbert Hoover's quote, I carry Iowa with me always. But yeah, so I own a business called Digital Grove AI, where I help construction and trade businesses move faster and implement AI into their businesses properly and efficiently so that they can save time and make more money.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's what I do, right? It's like, got to think of like, well, do I need to have a pitch after this sort of thing? Yeah, no, I totally get that. Well, that's cool, Jackson. We had met also through networking, and what had been so interesting to me, well, one, people were like, oh, because you guys both work, helping the trades, those in professional skill, trade services, and all that. But something else that had also really kind of just intrigued me is that, like, oh, he's doing stuff with the AI and he's really kind of coming up and doing all this sort of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that. So when you say that you help the business move a little quicker, tell us a little bit about your business, what it does and how it helps them.
Yeah, so right now I have a really core offering where I'm a fractional. So a lot of these smaller businesses, they don't get the same opportunities as those 200, 300 employee businesses, right? Because then they have IBM working with them, AWS, all that great stuff. They don't have those same opportunities. So basically, they can pay me to go into their business and then I charge them by retainer and then I implement automation. So like I automate a lot of payroll. I help with marketing on a small scale. Sometimes it's building websites, all kinds of fun stuff like that. But yeah, that's a lot of what I do, but it's
That's
really
cool.
just helping them save time. Yeah. Yeah. So, and sometimes it's implementing like custom GPTs, things like that. But I really pride myself on the amount of tools I know and use. And that's what really makes me unique. A lot of people are really specialized, right? They're either really good at Google or they're really good at Microsoft. I have a Microsoft account and a Google account. About almost any tool under the earth I use. And if it's not on my list, I'm always so happy to discover it and practice and learn how to use it.
Yeah, I think that that's really cool. The other day when we were chatting, you had shown me one of the AI tools that you were using, and it was cool because I remember I had heard about this tool. I just hadn't had a chance to necessarily look at the tool, and it was really cool to kind of see like the step by step process that you were using, but also how it uses its processing and how it kind of helps you in what you're doing. So that's a really interesting title, and I know that obviously I know that that's what you call yourself, and that's what you do. But this fractional AI employee, I think that that's a really interesting idea to have. And I also think it's an interesting idea for like the professional skilled trade services as well. Tell us a little bit more about what you do. So obviously I know you do a lot of different things within that fractional AI employee and consulting side, but tell us a little bit more about how that works within a business.
Yeah, pretty much the way that works is they'll pay me X amount for so many hours, and then I devote those hours to projects that we will do. So the first thing that my sales process, and which is quite important actually, is usually we go through and I'll build a roadmap. That's our discovery call. And then I have a step-by-step plan of
Mm.
how I'm going to attack the implementing into your business. So a great example is this health insurance broker, right? He really wanted to be more prevalent. So we started out by getting him focused on how can we use tools to make you faster. Mind you, this is a guy who had never opened ChatGPT. He was paying for this business consultant AI app, which was basically these custom GPT wrappers. CEO, CFO, right? Dude, I could
Yeah.
make that for you. Won't cost you a dime. That's all I'm telling him. So we actually, I
Yeah.
mean, within 3 months of us working together, I increased his leads by 5 times because I got him to be using Perplexity. So health insurance, right?
Mm.
They have those giant brochures. You aren't going to read that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read that. He doesn't want to read that, but he has to. And
Yep.
so I taught him what to do
Right.
is he
Yep.
can throw in those brochures and he was creating whole apps. So that way when people like he was handing it to people, instead
Mm.
again have to open this boring 1,500 page brochure, they just had to click through the best options for them. It was
Yeah.
awesome. And it immediately
Yeah.
increased the sales process. He
That
was
is cool.
closing more leads. Yeah, right. And that's where we got started, right? We've been implementing SEO. His LinkedIn is getting more prevalent. I also did something for him. We all know LinkedIn's not the greatest about automations in the slightest. And I'm all for that personally because I don't like that AI
Yeah.
slop we can all agree with. It's making me tired about talking about AI.
Yeah.
Okay. That should be saying something.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we did as well is this just another idea off the top of the head, but he's been a customer for 11 months now. So we've done a lot. But basically, I
Oh,
created a
awesome.
skill
Yeah.
where there's that Ask Gemini on the top, your top right, and it will read through their entire
Mhm.
LinkedIn profile. And so that way it comes in with a great sales message. And he's been increasing leads by that. And that's something we implemented 2 months ago. I have a subcontractor out in New York,
That's
and we're
awesome.
automating his entire payroll, the entire thing. So all he needs is an
Oh, wow.
accountant for checks.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's pretty cool. So all he needs is an accountant, not even to be an
Yeah.
accountant
Yeah. That's
anymore, to
awesome.
double check stuff. That's what they need. So I just saved him a lot of
That's
money.
cool. Yeah. 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 And also time to have to, hire somebody to do that and then have them to go through and do all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, that's amazing. That's really cool. So, Jackson, how did you get into doing fractional AI consultant and, being like a strategist with your employee? What kind of what got you to kind of gravitate towards that?
Yeah. So this one's kind of a story. Full disclosure. I've been using
Sounds
AI
good.
for a while now. So I really became really technological. My friends always were when I was growing up. But then my first venture when I was 18, maybe turning 19, was I actually would buy used computer parts on Facebook Marketplace and then build low budget gaming computers and would resell them on Facebook Marketplace. And so that was actually really working really well. But then ChatGPT came out. So there was a big deal that a lot of people who aren't if you're not in the AI
Mm.
space, you'll never heard about. But AI used to run off of CPUs. And then these gamers went to this Google hackathon and built the fastest AI model by miles, only because they used GPUs. It ran just that much faster because of GPUs.
Yeah.
So that eliminated that venture because all of a sudden GPU prices had skyrocketed. So because of that, ChatGPT had
Yeah.
come out about 4 months after I had finished that venture. And my buddy kept telling me, use it. I didn't really want to. I'm in college. I knew it would affect my critical thinking. I'm paying to gain education. I can't do that. Right. So I then basically started using it. And the little entrepreneur I thought I was going to be at that time, I built a t-shirt shop on Shopify, but it 100% ran through AI. I made the images in AI. I edited with AI. I marketed with AI, using the SEO to it. And then I also had the
Yeah.
automation so everything ran cleanly and thoroughly. So I had built the only reason why I'm so good at doing this is because I did it for myself. 100%. Then
Yeah.
after that,
100%.
yeah, 100%. And then after that, I just got bored with that. It wasn't as much fun, right? I'm not a graphic designer. I didn't really want to be. So then I was living on a boat
Yeah.
and met this older gentleman, and he introduced me to this startup where they were selling custom AI and custom software. So I basically got myself educated within that year of working with them, taking all these free classes and everything. That's why I know a lot
Wow.
more than just how to prompt it. I know how it runs 100% the background, the whole history of it, everything that's needed to know. That's a big piece that a lot of people miss. A lot of people, the top people are well aware of this,
Mm.
and that's why they can charge what they can
Yeah.
charge. But after that,
Yeah.
I got kicked
Yeah.
out, burned out of that one. And then we started this business, and then I was doing, yeah, yep, got burnt and just couldn't find a job. So they then built this business, and originally it was doing project based, which I really didn't like because I found myself negotiating the quality of my work, which was a skill issue on my end. But the easiest transition
Yeah.
to that or out of that was actually having a retainer, because then at least in 6 months, I could give you the quality of work that people would want. And then it just kind of has turned
Yeah.
into this perfect offering that a lot of people really like.
That is really cool. Let me really quick before we go any further with that. I want to point out something that you said at the beginning that I think is, in my opinion, extremely, extremely, extremely important before any of all of this. So you said you were in college and you were like told, "Hey, I should, look at ChatGPT." And you were like, "Dude, I'm in college to learn how to critically think and how to gain an education, and I don't want that to take away from that." And I think that is a gigantic piece that I think a lot of people miss out on and don't think about when it comes to AI in general. It's instead of, let me figure this out, and just kind of stop and think. It's like, well, let me just, prompt AI and it'll tell me the answer, right? Instead of like using your creativity, instead of using that boredom, that creating those neural pathways, right? Of how to really kind of think through a problem, of how to overcome this difficulty. It's let me just give it to ChatGPT, let me just give it to Claude or whatever. I'm having this problem with an email. What do I need to say? Just tell me what to write. How do I figure this out? Just tell me what to do, right? And I think that we are starting to lose that idea of critical thinking because it's easy to just say, I'm just going to give it to AI. I don't need to think about it. Let somebody else. And sometimes I think that we kind of pawn that off as oh, it's just a first draft, right? But it's more of, I just don't want to think about it. Let somebody else do the thinking for me, and then I'll just kind of modify it. And full disclosure, I find myself in that as well, right? Like I do that sometimes. I'm like, oh,
Who
I don't know
doesn't?
how to answer this, or I don't know what to do for this. Let me just throw it in there. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Who doesn't? So I think that that's really important and that's really cool. So having said that, so you've kind of always had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit. I think that's really cool. I remember you telling me about the gaming computers and all that, and that's so cool, right? Like who you're taking something that most people will be like, "Oh, I'm not going to use this anymore," right? And now you're going to create something out of it, and people are like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll buy that," So that's really cool. I didn't necessarily know about the boat story, so that's really cool. Tell us a little bit about, kind of your, how where that kind of took you. You don't have to tell me like details, but like how did that help shape your journey?
Yeah. The boat really is where I learned to network. So I had, again,
Mm.
kind of a story, right? I actually ran a house of for disabled persons, right? And I
Oh,
was the
okay.
site supervisor. And the reason why I say that is because I was actually underqualified for that job, but I was working 60 to 80 hours a week, and I had my classes going. And
Yeah.
I wanted to upgrade to being what's called senior site supervisor, run two houses. Basically, I loved the job. I
Oh, okay.
loved the work, but I was failing classes for it to become qualified for a job I was already underqualified for. So I had to take a step back and really have some perspective and just say, I can't do this anymore. I have to move on because I can't do both. So then I went and worked at McDonald's trying to get my career or my college slightly paid for. And that's when my best friend offered me. So he was the general manager there. And he's Jackson, do you want to come and work with me for the summer? And I'm like, that would sound great, but I don't have anywhere to live. I have this boat. You could come and live on my boat for 6 months and help me out. So that's what I did. But my friend had always been really good about networking, and I had found a really great mentor. I knew I needed a network, so I just started doing it about 2 months before I went on that boat. And most boat owners are either in the construction or trades or they're a business owner. So I really learned how to network, have great conversations with people, be somewhat entertaining, but be relaxed enough for them to listen and respond to what they are saying and not what my next thought is. It was a great opportunity to just really practice that. But then at the same time, I was still entrepreneuring because this is where I learned I had to focus actually, because I was building a t-shirt shop and detailing boats and working at the marina and doing college classes. I really learned through that summer as well, not only how
Jeez.
to network properly. Yes, I also learned how to focus. You can't build five, four, three things at once. Pick one, get it built, automate it, do the next thing.
That's really cool. I love that. How many times are we like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to do this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing," right? But it's like, but you haven't even
Yeah.
done the first thing. The first thing is still unfinished. The second thing is also unfinished. The third thing is an idea, and it's like you get to the fourth thing and it's like, well, I have this thought, and it's like, well, you need to stop and go back and do the first thing. Just like you said, do the first thing, do it right, get it working, refine it, and then, like you said, automate it. There's this book that I'm reading, and I've read quite a few of his books from Dan Sullivan and a gentleman who actually writes the book. I can't think of what his name is, but like 10x is easier than 2x, the gap in the gain, and then who, not how, right? And so that's kind of okay. Well, I'm not gonna work on this just by myself. Let me find somebody who can also take that vision and also increase that vision. So that's really cool. That's really
Yeah.
awesome.
And I did want to
A lot of people
emphasize
don't
that
realize that they
too.
need a mentor, right? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
and yeah, the automate for sure. I don't mean automate with AI. Look, I love AI, but it's not going to run your business for you. It's 100%
Yeah,
the who. It's
yeah,
100% the who. And that's what I mean by automate, right? And I've found that a lot in my life. I
yeah,
keep in touch with people who I've found have that opportunity, have that ability. They'll bend over backwards if you help them.
yeah. You're 100% right. I think a lot of times we think a lot of times, okay, well, I'm going to network because I'm going to try to sell somebody something. When really when really, okay, yes, I mean, you may sell somebody something, but it's who are these connections that I'm making so that I can connect them, help them build their business, and so they can help build my business. And hey, you know what? We should work together. We should help each other out because we're thinking like I see, right? We're selling to the same client, but we're not competition. And in fact, what I do will strengthen what you do, and what you do strengthen what I do. And I think a lot of times people miss that. It's just so narrowly focused of I need to sell to this customer and they're mine and that's it, right? Versus how can we work together to make both of our businesses succeed by making this business succeed? And I think that that is a huge, huge miss that I think a lot of people. So kudos to you for realizing that quickly and early on.
When I think that networking, because to your point, we always just think about like networking is networking events, SCN, which we're both a part of, right? I think it's beyond that. When
Yeah.
I say hi to a high schooler and get him interested in what he likes, that is networking as well, because that's my future employees I'm talking to. That's your
Yes.
future employees you're talking to. Everybody you say hi to is networking. And a lot of people miss that because exactly what you're saying. I was just getting sold to somebody like a week ago and I really liked him. I thought he was awesome. And then all of a sudden he switched the sound. Dude, I'm not your client. I don't fit this. It's taught a lot. Everybody's a customer, and it's so improper. It's
Yeah,
so
always be
improper.
closing.
Yeah, and that's the wrong way to do it. It is. Again, the way I sell, it never feels like a sale. And I do that intentionally because it's a discussion. And if you're not the right fit, then I just disqualified you. You don't know it, but I know it. And that's it. And then it becomes a
Yeah.
low, calm conversation.
Yeah. And it's also, well, can I provide value? Because, a lot of times when I'm talking to some of my, prospects, it's like, look, I'm going to tell you this. Now you can do it or I can do it. Right. But regardless, you're going to walk away knowing what you need to do. Right. And it may just be you. And it may just be like you can do up to this point, and eventually you're going to have to, but at least right now, you know what? Maybe you can't afford me, right? Maybe at this point, it's not the right time. But let me at least leave you with this so that at some point you can get to that, so that it's not just like, cool, well, he wanted, this amount of money and he didn't tell me anything. Like that leaves
Mhm.
a bad taste in their mouth. But if you
Oh,
leave
why
them
wouldn't it?
with a genuine willingness to want to help them, yeah. If you leave them with some genuine value of like, hey, listen, I get it. Right now is not the right time, but hey, here's, I don't know, one, two, three things, whatever it is. And right, here's three things that you can go ahead and do right now, regardless, right? You don't need you don't need to pay me. It's just, these are three things because I genuinely want to help you. And I think that that's fantastic that you think that way, because not a lot of people think that way. And I do like that idea of, everything's networking, and, that's my future employee, right? Like that's someone that can connect me. I mean, I met someone today and it's like, we were just talking, right? But hopefully we'll continue that conversation at some other point, and maybe that'll lead to me being able to connect them to somebody, or, kind of where we can kind of take that.
Yeah. A couple of thoughts. Took the words right out of my mouth by just always provide value. That's the new one we should do instead of ABC. APV, always provide value. That's what that should be.
Yeah,
I
right.
really, that's such a good way to put that. I
Yes.
love it. But yeah, no, and honestly, like back to the whole everything's
We'll
networking.
trademark it.
Yeah, yeah. Roger Jackson. RJ, that's awesome. But yeah, I was going to build a personal branding, man. I'm 20, right? I think still the message that I was going to do is still so important. It was going to be just say hi for you today, right? But the reason why that was is every
Mm.
opportunity I've had is just by not being afraid to say hi. Yeah, I just again, like, the way I got a startup and how I was able to get to where I am is because I said hi to this random elderly man walking his dogs, and I took the time to just walk him, provide value by showing him something he wanted to learn, and it's changed my life. Seriously, just saying hi. It's ridiculous how easy and simple it is to change your life, but that one word, "hi," and yes would change your life. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, you are so right. I was thinking about that. How many times have I started a conversation where I was like, I don't know, but okay, well, let me say hi, right? Someone who actually does this really well, and I don't think he necessarily realizes it, even though I've talked to him about it, as my best friend. And so what he does is that he was in his job, as he's delivering things, as he's going to different businesses and all that, people will like have conversations with him, and he's not even necessarily trying. He'll just be like, hey, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, and they'll like start talking with him, and they'll just like start telling him, and he sees them over a certain amount of time, where again, like all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, they're like, consider him his best friend. Because
Yeah.
he generally just says, hey, right? It's, even if he's not really feeling it, it's just hi. I think people genuinely want a connection, and he provides that with what he does. And that's not even his job, right? His job is not to do that. His job is to give them something. And it's not to, hey, let's strike up a conversation, right? Because nobody else in what he does has that level of conversation. And it's just by him just being friendly and saying, hey, and it's not just, hey, it's, hey, how are you doing? Right. And even if he's just kind of saying it, to, kind of fill an awkward silence, like he also genuinely means it. Hey, how are you doing? And they share with him because they want to talk, right? They want to have that connection. So yeah, that's so true. Yes. Hi goes a long way.
And it's really interesting because be lonely. right? And there's two things that are making us super lonely. COVID was a huge cause of that, but that's what created like virtual connections and these damn things. Seriously, because you know how many
Yeah.
people my age, I know I'm saying that like I'm old, but people my age, like their 20s or less, right? They're scared to talk on the phone. It's ridiculous. Like I'll call people
Mm.
and they're, why are you calling?
Yep.
They're terrified to be on the phone because
Yeah.
it's almost like you're face to
Yeah. Yeah.
face. And that's terrifying to some people because you
Mhm.
lose that theoretical blanket of security. But again, you know, what happens when we lose that connection, right? And that's what marketing is. That's what sales is. Again, who are you going to buy from? The person you
Yeah.
like or the person you don't like and has the better offer? I know who I'm picking.
Yeah. I mean, look, I tell people there's 8 billion people in the world, right? 7.5 billion of them are marketers. Congratulations, you've met another one, right? Like that's what I
Right.
tell people when I meet them. And the thing is that sometimes we're in like a marketing or not marketing, we're in a networking group together or something, and people are like, well, like we do the same thing. And I'm like, look, here's the thing is that we could both be talking to the same person and you vibe with them a lot better than I do, or vice versa. Like, I want them to go with a person that they can be like, you know what, man, I really think that so and so has my best interests in mind. And they're not just like trying to get the most money out of me or whatever, right? Like, they want to go with that person because they're like, man, yeah, I like them. I trust them. I know them. I want to go with them. And that is huge. And yes, I think that people are starving for connection, whether they realize it or not. And yeah, you're right. I can't tell you how many times it's hard to get people to talk on the phone, right? And versus like a text or something like that, that like we've lost that sense of connection.
And that, but I get so much more done in a 3-minute phone call than texting you for 3 hours. I get so much more done. It's insane.
Yeah.
So I just,
Yeah.
if I can, I go right to
Yeah.
that phone call because we'll get business done. We'll get it taken care of real fast.
Yes. I had this one conversation and it literally took all Saturday, and it was someday Friday, something like that. But anyway, it was just a conversation over email. And throughout the email, I kept saying, hey, do you want to give me a call? Right. I gave him my number in one of the emails, said, hey, look, it was just like one of those things. And yeah, because it was like, I don't think a lot of people think about like how often your words can be misconstrued, over text, email, whatever,
Oh, yes.
versus saying it, and yeah, you're right. Yeah. 3 minute, a 3 minute phone call, just like you said, is going to get you so much further than 10 emails.
100%. And that's where cold calling's not going anywhere. And I think with all this AI, and we can gear away from this because I know you wanted to talk about mentors there for a second, but I think AI is going to have all those outbound and
Oh yeah.
inbound callers. And I'm the one implementing inbound callers. And I do think that's still a valuable tool. That's why I'm selling it. Right. But I really think that connection, give it
Yeah.
5 years. Like right now, we're in this, like where marketing has to be built on trust. The sale has to be built on trust. And I don't think it's going to be long. And the
Yes.
word will be connection instead of trust. And we'll be back to people walking into buildings with
Mhm.
business cards where that's not an effective
Yep.
strategy right now. It just isn't because again, people, they can cold call, all
Yeah.
this marketing, they can find who they're looking for. But as we increase AI slop, as we increase the inability to reach somebody by the phone, I think it will be that much more important that somebody took the time to come to my business, deliver me something, and look for me to shake my hand during my busy day, right? I think that will become super valuable in the next 5 years. Again, right now, people are still doing it. It's not that hard to get a hold of people, right? It's more of an annoyance when you can't. We're not getting all the outbound callers, but I don't think it'll be long. It'll
Yeah.
be that much more important to shake hands with somebody. But even again, think like networking hasn't gone anywhere. It's been around for people back in Babylon were doing it. We're still
Yeah.
networking and we're still making it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I think that I'll even make a counterpoint. I think it's even more important right now because I think that it cuts through that AI slop, that AI noise and all that. I think you're 100% right. I think cold calling and all that. I think that still it does have a place. And I think I was even talking to Ashley Cuellar, and it's, she does cold calling, and you also have other people that are like, oh, it's about experience and all that sort of stuff. But regardless, I think that at the end of the day, whether it's a cold email, whether it's a cold call, I think it's about that connection. I think that if all you're doing is sending a cold email, but that's it, right? If you're just doing a cold call and that's it, you're not trying to connect with them to try to create some experience, to try to create something there, then yeah, of course that's not going to go anywhere, right? But when you're at the end of the day, you're going to create a connection. That's what what it's about. I think you're 100% right. I reminded of the story that I read in college, and this is going to date me, but we had read The Death of a Salesman, and that was what his whole
Yes.
thing was built on. It was built on him, like, having a connection, having that, that as having that authenticity as, the times were changing and all that sort of stuff. And it was less about having that connection and like, oh, well, it's because we're friends, that sort of thing, and it was kind of like, oh, that's not during that, it's not working like that anymore. And so I think that it's going to kind of come back to that. I think that there's that pendulum swing, just like with anything. Oh, social media's out. We don't need websites. And then it's like, oh, maybe we do actually need websites, right? Oh, we just need this, not this anymore. Oh, maybe we do kind of need it. And it kind of comes back. And I think that you're 100% right. I think that that connection piece is going to be so huge. It is now, but I think that it's going to be amplified even more
Yeah,
so.
each year is just gonna again. The big word I keep hearing right now is that trust is the thing that's necessary, right? But it's just another word for connection, right? And
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with what you said
Yeah.
where you need to if you cold email and you cold call. Personally, I do one or the other, but even then, that messaging has to
Yeah.
connect with that person. And as much as I love AI is good at general tasks. Even when you give it some
Yes.
context, it's good at slightly more specific tasks. But that messaging, it comes from customer discovery. What's customer discovery? Connecting with your customer. That's right.
Yeah.
It's all it is.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And that's even what I tell people, like, that's one of the reasons why within my marketing is that I tell people is like video marketing, right? People know, Joe's Plumbing or, Travis Roofing, whatever it is, right? Doesn't matter. But they want to know, is this a faceless corporation? Or what if Joe, the plumber, right, is providing value and letting them know who you are, right? Comes back to that. We gotta start tagging that. Always provide value, right? And what if they're on the
APV.
website and they're providing that value? They're letting you know, oh, okay, cool. Yes, APV, right? And it's on the website. It's on your Google business part, right? But they see that person and you're making a connection so that when they or their employees show up at your door, it's like, oh, okay, it's Joe, right? It's so and so. And we know that, and they've made that connection beforehand. So, yeah, absolutely
100%.
wonderful. I love that.
Yeah,
Well,
100%.
Travis,
I'm all
let
with
me,
that.
Travis, I was thinking of the, thinking of the name I made up, Jackson. I don't know why in the world I said Travis.
No worries.
Jackson, tell us a little bit. Where can we find you? Where can people connect? Where can people? Because I always use a where can people connect with you online or just out and about?
Yeah, out and about, I'm a little bit harder to find. You can definitely find me at NCN, but as my people in Iowa would know, I seem to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And I catch myself doing the same thing. But I typically will come to quite a few networking events, so you can always catch me there. But then the easiest way to connect with me is on LinkedIn, Jackson Edens. So it's gonna be Jackson with the CK, the best way to spell it, and then EDENS. And if you guys want to go to my website, just check out a little bit about what I do, and my phone number's on there. If you're looking to reach out, my email's on there, which is another good way to reach out to me as well. Um, it's gonna be dglabs.org.
So I mean, we'll definitely put that down in the description. All right, really quick. So you just said Jackson, Jackson. I'm trying to think what other way is Jackson spelled? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, so there's typically one with an X. I have a little cousin. I'm pretty sure it's Daxon, if I remember.
Oh, that's
But
right. That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
there's all
Yeah.
kinds of
Yeah.
different ways to spell it.
That's
But
right. Yeah.
I've got a really special connection with mine because it's my mom's maiden name. So I have two last names.
Oh, okay. Cool. Very nice. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, talk about
Yeah, that's
pressure
awesome.
though, right?
My middle name is actually my dad's first name. Or no, that's not true. That's not. No, yes, it is. Okay, I'm trying to think. Wait. I was thinking of what his middle name was. No, so my middle name is my dad's first name, and so then I was like, so my wife and I were talking, and I was like, hey, for our first, for our firstborn, let's make my first name his middle name. He can do it if he wants, right? If he has kids later on, and he wants to make his first name their middle name, like cool, awesome. But I just kind of thought that was a cool tradition that we decided to start. So that's really cool. I like that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I've got the same thought process. I don't want like a Jackson Jr. run around because then they would call JJ. Ugh, ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing. I want like a middle name for one of my kids for sure, and then tell them to keep the Jackson name going. You know,
Yeah.
I would find that really cool.
Yeah. 100%. That would be extremely cool. That's awesome. All right, Jackson. Well, it was so great having you. I will have all of your stuff in the description so that they can connect with you and learn a little bit more about you and how you can help them and just connect with you and say hi. So thanks so much for coming out, and I will talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Thank you again.